How's it going, YouTube? It's LB Ninja 7, your resident MISTWEAVER monk here, and today I have a very informational, instructional video for you guys. This is hands down the easiest way to improve your MISTWEAVER monk. The best way to improve your parses and just improve your IO or get into a better guild. Just the best way to improve your MISTWEAVER and the highest amount of gains that you can receive for the lowest amount of practice or input. So today we're going to be talking about Chi. Now I'm also going to lump in Yulon into this video since they are a tandem. They kind of go hand in hand, but I want to talk about what both of them do first off, and then what separates them and what makes one better than the other at any given point. Why we choose what we choose at any given time, and then I want to talk about some of the branching talents, basically this one. And yeah, so let's get into it. So first off, I'm actually going to start off with Chi, since that's why most of you guys are here. But stay tuned for that Yulon, because that will actually help you get better at that too, if that ever becomes the better option, which it's close. So stay tuned. But so Chi, how it works is you summon your Celestial for 24 seconds. And for that 24 seconds, it basically powers you up and it makes you go into God mode. So every single kick that you do will kick up a gust of mist. And notice that number 11,082 directly equals your mastery proc. So it'll kick up a mastery onto someone. Now, why is that important? Well, we have a lot of synergies with that, namely being our current build, which is just straight up building haste and mastery to get the most out of this. You get the most amount of kicks in that 24-second window, and the most amount of mastery procs in that 24-second window. But we have the Feline Stomp build, Awakened Feline, which makes our blackout kicks cleave. So if we're hitting 3 targets, then we're going to get 3 gusts of mist procs. Now, why is that important? Let's talk about the other part of Chi. So basically how it works is every kick that you do while Chi's out, you'll gain a stack, up to 3 stacks. And each stack reduces 33% of the casting time and mana cost of your Enveloping Mist. So if you have 1 stack, your next Enveloping Mist will cast 33% faster and cost 33% less mana, so a little bit more efficient. But if you get all 3 stacks, it is free and instant. Not on the global cooldown, you can press it while you're kicking. It's very good. So how this works is we want to find all the ways, the most efficient ways to get up to 3 stacks and then hit Enveloping Mist as many times as possible during that window. So we're going to go ahead and discuss the multiple different scenarios and really maximize that. First things first, the easiest way to think about it is we are going to forego all the distractions from this Chi ramp, and those include these Renewing Mist procs. If our Renewing Mist comes off cooldown, we don't even want to press it. Essence Font, we don't want to press it unless we're refreshing the Ancient Teachings bonus. And even then, we want to only press it with Thunder Focus Tea to make it fast, or just refresh it with Feline Stomp if possible, or cancel the Essence Font. That's how important it is to make sure every single global cooldown is going toward the Chi ramp. So let's get the easy one out of the way. An AoE environment, we're basically in Mythic Plus, where we, 1, want to do a lot of AoE damage, and 2, do not care about the extra procs from these talents like Rising Sun Kick. We don't care about applying these extra hots. That's when we're going to Spinning Crane Kick. And it's very easy. It basically follows the same exact principles as our damage rotation. So if we don't even care about spreading around those in the Renewing Mists, then we're just going to Spinning Crane Kick 3 times, and that will be our 3 stacks, and then Enveloping Mist. Spinning Crane Kick 3 times, Enveloping Mist. Spinning Crane Kick 3 times, Enveloping Mist. Now, you obviously can replace some of these for a Rising Sun Kick. So Spinning Crane Kick twice, and then Rising Sun Kick once, and then Enveloping Mist. Or Spinning Crane Kick 3 times, Enveloping Mist, Rising Sun Kick to extend that if you're running Rising Mists, and then go back to that same rotation. So I also want to say you can replace these one of these spinning crane kicks with a blackout kick, especially if you're in the Fey line. That's a great option. So spinning crane kicking while blackout kick's on cooldown, and then blackout kick whenever it comes off cooldown. Because you're hitting 3 targets, you're instantly getting 3 stacks. So let's go and see the AoE version. I'm going to summon Chi-Ji, and I'm going to be on my Fey line. So this is the primary cleaving scenario. It might come up on Council and Raid or Mythic Plus. If I blackout kick, you'll see... Oh, I didn't even summon Chi-Ji. If I blackout kick, you'll see I'm already at 3 stacks right here. So I can instantly Enveloping Mist, and then blackout kick again, Enveloping Mist, Rising Sun Kick, then we can Spinning Crane Kick twice. So you basically want to maximize how often you can get to 3 stacks within that 24-second window. Now, as you saw there, I'm actually doing the 1-minute cooldown for this video, but for the most part, you should be running that, especially in Raid, the 3-minute version. So that is the AoE version. Now let's talk about if we are not running Blackout Kick. How it's going to work is we are going to try to get 1 Rising Sun Kick and 2 Blackout Kicks. And then that's our 3 stacks. If those 2 blackout kicks reset Rising Sun Kick, then that can be the same rotation for the next one. So Rising Sun Kick, blackout kick, and Enveloping Mist, and then Rising Sun Kick, blackout kick, Enveloping Mist. We can repeat that until we don't get that cooldown reset on Rising Sun Kick. Then we want to either just get 2 blackout kicks and do a 66% more efficient Enveloping Mist, or do 2 Tiger Palms to stack up 3 blackout kicks and get 3 blackout kicks to be the 3 kicks. So what that's gonna look like is we're gonna Rising Sun Kick, Tiger Palm, blackout kick. What that does is that is Rising Sun Kick, the Tiger Palm doesn't count, but it adds a stack to our next blackout kick, so that's 3. So that's our 3 stacks. And then if we get the reset, then we just repeat that. If we don't, let's see if I can get it to where I don't. So Tiger Palm, and then 1 kick, 2 blackout kicks. I did get the reset, so we're gonna do it again. So then I would just Tiger Palm, blackout kick. That's 3 hits. So we just basically want to do that as much as possible. Now let's talk about ways to maximize that. Obviously, we've already gone over one, and that is when you have multi-target situations, you're going to want to stay on your Fey line so that your blackout kick cleaves. That is the fastest way to do this. You don't even have to stack up blackout kicks. You just hit blackout kick. It'll hit 3 targets or 2 targets and give you more than just that 1 stack per global cooldown. The other way is to utilize your Thunder Focus Tea. Now, since this is your most important ramp, and it scales really hard on haste, the best thing to do is to have your Thunder Focus Tea ready when you're going to proc Chi-Ji. The reason being is because, for the most part, we're using Secret Infusion and Raid, and we want to Secret Infusion our Essence font to get that haste. Now, it's also okay to do a Vivify to get that mastery, but the haste is probably the best return on investment. I will say when you're in Lust, it does have diminishing returns to give yourself even more of a haste buff. When you're in Lust, using it on a Vivify is good to get that bonus mastery to pair with that bonus haste to really slam healing. So we are going to, I don't even have it talented, and there's something in my eye. Let me swap to this really quick. I'm going to go ahead and swap this talent just for the sake of the video so I can have more Chi-Ji's up. Oh goodness, there's something in my eye. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to Thunder Focus Tea, Rising Sun Kick to give my, or I'm sorry, an Essence font to give myself a haste buff, and then Chi-Ji. So Rising Sun Kick, Essence font, summon Chi-Ji. Boom, we're rolling. And then doing that same rotation that I told you guys a second ago. Now, one important thing to note is that Essence font is instant cast when you're at the full 3 stacks, meaning I can kick and apply it at the same time, basically, off the same global cooldown. So it's important to not think that you have to do punch, punch, kick, Enveloping Mist, punch, punch, kick, Enveloping Mist. You can do punch, punch, kick, Enveloping Mist, punch, punch, kick, Enveloping Mist, and that will really maximize that window. So that is basically Chi-Ji. You want to make sure every single global cooldown that you are pressing is funneling into Chi-Ji while you're under that Chi-Ji window. That's how to use Chi-Ji. Let's get into Yu'lon really quick. We can make this really quick since it's not that popular. And then we can get into this talent node here. Apparently I cannot swap until Chi-Ji is off cooldown. When is that? Okay, sweet. Right now. So Yu'lon is basically, it's designed to be the caster version of Chi-Ji. It's our celestial that's meant for casting Mistweaver. The only issue is it actually works really well with fist weaving. It doesn't have the direct implications of punching and kicking gives you healing, but it works really well because we're applying a lot of HOTS, and HOTS are really good with Rising Mist because we're going to be extending those HOTS. And we're also getting a lot of bonus healing from the Enveloping Breath, or I'm sorry, where is it? Right here. Whenever we cast Enveloping Mist during these Celestial windows, we're getting bonus healing on our party members. So we want to use Yu'lon to proc this on the entire raid, and also get as many Enveloping Mists out as possible, because we summon it and she will heal injured allies with Soothing Breath, healing the target, and up to 2 allies for a certain amount. So basically she'll be spraying people with healing while she's out, but she gets hit by that bonus healing from our Enveloping Mist. There's also this added line that they just recently added in 10.0, but then they've actually buffed it recently. Enveloping Mist costs 50% less mana while Yu'lon is active. So this is really just in place to be competitive with Chi-Ji, because Enveloping Mist, as you know, is really expensive at full cost, and it was just very taxing. So if you pair this with Mana Tea, it gets even better. Basically you'll be gaining mana as you press Enveloping Mist, which is pretty cool, but still it's not free like Chi-Ji is. So let's get into the rotation. So while we have Yu'lon out, we are going to also want to have our Thunder Focus Tea off cooldown. It works really, really well with Focus Thunder, which is unfortunate because Upwelling just gives more HPS. But the reason being is we can give ourselves a haste or a crit buff, which crit works really well because we're going to be boosting the healing, and when those crit, it'll just be healing for a ton. We're going to want the crit buff, but we're also going to want bonus Rising Sun kicks to extend all the Enveloping Mists that we're going to be putting out by 2 seconds instead of just the 1 from the normal Rising Sun kick. So we're going to want to buff our first Enveloping Mist, but then use a Thunder Focus Tea to Rising Sun kick so that we get longer HOTS. So how that's going to look and how we're going to be able to maximize this is we're going to Enveloping Mist 4 people, and then Thunder Focus Tea. That's the ideal way, but if you want to extend that, we're going to Enveloping Mist 3 people, and then on the 4th Enveloping Mist, I can't do all 4 fingers, that's the one that we're going to Thunder Focus Tea, and then we're going to Rising Sun Kick twice. The reason why we do this is because if we just sit there and spam Enveloping Mist, the first one we cast will fall off by the time the 5th one we cast lands. So we want to get 4 out and then extend those, since that's the max that we can get out before we can extend them. I hope that makes sense. But basically, just know you want to do 4 and then Thunder Focus, and then Rising Sun Kick, 4 Rising Sun Kick, 4 Rising Sun Kick, and that's so that you can extend those 4 before that first one falls off. So what that's going to look like is I'll try to do it with these training dummies. It's going to be a little hard, but we're going to Enveloping Mist 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to Thunder Focus Tea this next one, and then Rising Sun Kick, Rising Sun Kick. So that is the basic rotation. You see how much mana that uses it? It's a ton. But the main thing being that they are just like being covered, blanketed in healing. And then on top of that, we're going to be hitting the whole raid with that boosted healing from Yu'lon. So it's just so powerful. Yeah, so let me go ahead and summon Yu'lon and try to do a full little cooldown, basically without Thunder Focus Tea. Y'all saw how the best way to get that Thunder Focus Tea rolling is, but I'm just going to do it for the Rising Sun Kick, for the Rising Sun Kick. So, we're going to summon Yu'lon. I don't have it on my bars. Yes, I do. So, summon Yu'lon, and then 1. I'm having to click, because they're training dummies. 3 and 4, and then do that, and then go back to healing people with Enveloping Mist. Now, I will say Yulon, since it's not mana free, since it's just mana efficient, is really good to pair with Innervate, even more so than Chi-Ji, because obviously in Chi-Ji you shouldn't be using any mana. The only mana you could spend is like Rising Sun Kick or Spinning Crane Kick. Why those cost mana, I have no idea. But Yulon does cost a lot of mana, even with these mana reductions, and I feel like that's kind of what's setting it back. But now let's talk about really quick what makes one better than the other at any given point. So first off, if you know, Yulon was the strongest back in Shadowlands. Why? Because we were in a crit verse build. Now crit, like I said, scales pretty well with Yulon, but crit also scales really well with Chi-Ji. The difference is Haste to Mastery scales even harder on Chi-Ji. So when we're going Haste to Mastery, that value that we're getting is just higher on Chi-Ji. Now, why are we Haste to Mastery right now? And that the simple question is because Ancient Teachings was nerfed. Crit and Verse scaled really hard with Ancient Teachings. Just the harder we hit, the more healing we did. But now that we are doing like 2.5 times our damage was being converted into healing, and now it's just 1.5 times, it just makes us get a lot less value out of Crit and Verse, especially Verse. So now that's why we've moved to Haste Mastery. And then when we shift to Haste Mastery, the scale kind of tips into Chi-Ji's favor. So that's really quickly the very simple example of why we're there. But you should know that Yulon is also just very strong with Haste and Mastery, because we're going to be Enveloping Misting, and Haste is obviously good when we're trying to blanket with HOTS. So yeah. Lastly, I want to leave this video with talking about this talent node. So this one, the one on the right, this is the one that is primarily your Mythic Plus build, and then this Jade Bond is primarily your Raid build. What makes Gift of the Celestials better in Mythic Plus is just because it reduces that cooldown. Yeah, we're going to be cutting the time in half from 24 seconds to 12 seconds, but the cooldown is going to be cut down into 1/3, so it's a minute cooldown, which minute cooldowns are just really good in Mythic Plus because that's basically every pack covered. And in most cases, it'll probably be every other pack, but we have Shaylun's Gift now and Revival to fill in those holes. So it's just really good, and it lines up against a lot of bosses. Primarily, the best example is Halls of Valor, that second boss, Hearjaw. You get it for every Eye of the Storm. You can have Chi-Ji for every Eye of the Storm, which is just insane. Very good. And then also, what's another one? There's another really good example. I want to say the Ruby Life Pool's first boss, you get it for like every set of ads or every little pulse. Also, Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, you have it for every pulse. It's just, it really helps out it makes it flow a lot better. But in Raid, why do we use this one? Well, in Raid, we are going to be really prioritizing our Renewing Mist and just Vivify and just basically proccing Mastery a lot, especially with Chi-Ji. I'm pretty sure this works with Chi-Ji, all those procs. So we're still going to be getting a lot of cooldown reduction, not nearly as much. It's probably, I felt it be about like 1:45 to 1:30 on average, which is kind of nutty. It's kind of giving Fallen Order vibes, but really strong. But also, it just empowers that Soothing Breath that we're going to be getting from Yulon or Chi-Ji. So it just makes it stronger while it's out, and then also gets very similar reductions. So, and keeps that 24-second window, which is the main reason. So in Raid, you're going to be getting more uptime with this one, whereas in Mythic Plus, you're going to be getting more uptime and more important uptime. That if you think of a Mythic Plus key as a graph, the spikes of damage are going to line up really well with the spikes of Chi-Ji healing. So that is the basics. Before I leave, I almost forgot this one thing. If you want to see how your Chi-Ji healing is doing, really quick, let's see, I'm just going to pull up a random key. So the Chi-Ji healing is this red Gust of Mist versus your normal Mastery from your actually spending abilities. And this will be a lot higher in Raid. The better you get, the more this will get closer to your first source of healing, maybe your second source of healing, but you really want to be focusing on maximizing those windows, because that is how you're going to get from like a 20 parse to a 90 parse. That's how it worked for me, at least, and I hope that's how it works for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and before I leave you, I want to quickly show you that we are at 986 subscribers. So please hit that button on your way out, because we are so close to 1,000. And you know what? I'm not stopping there. So you want to get in on the first 1,000 so that you can say that you were here when I was small. So thank you so much for the support you guys have been showing me lately. It's been great. It's meant a ton to me, and it's really made my horrible work life worth it. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.